Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Thursday, March the 30th is race number 7 at Santa Anita. We're going 1 mile on the turf. It's an optional claiming race for older horses. Let's take a peek at the field. And remember folks, head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com, download those free Formulator past performances, and handicap along with us as we take you in post position order. And we are pre-scratches and program changes as we take a look at the number 1, Ward and Jerry for trainer Mike Pipe. This horse is much improved.
Gutsy effort last time out, gate to wire. I thought it was strong, all things considered. You go back to the run 2 back, you see a couple big names that we're familiar with. Ashley Loves Sugar, What a View. Wasn't disgraced by either one of those. I like the fact that this one seems to have a little bit of tactical speed. Doesn't have to go right to the front. I think this horse is certainly a player.
Good trips coming from the inside post, short run to the first turn. I think you said a mouthful. This horse has great versatility. I don't think he's going to end up on the lead in this race, but he could be working out a beautiful pocket trip under Stuart Elliott. Now, we saw a couple of those horses that he beat last time out try to step up into the San Luis Rey last week. Didn't work out. Does that work against Ward and Jerry a little bit, or are you saying those horses were in too tough?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. They were in too tough. Many of them were up against the way the track was playing. Ward and Jerry, again, that run 2 back is really the one that gives me sort of the positive move with this horse, saying, you know, if you're only 2 lengths behind Ashley Loves Sugar and What a View, a couple of legitimate graded stakes caliber animals, you certainly fit in here as a contender.
The number 2 is Moonlight Drive, stretching back out for trainer Bob Baffert. We haven't seen this horse. It's a rather flat effort in the Clocker's Corner Stakes, but at least he was taking on a very sharp horse in Stormy Liberal, who came back to win the Hernandez going down the hill with a big 103 Beyer speed figure. I could have sworn this horse was listed as a gelding last time out. I open up the PPs, he's still a colt. What gives?
All I know is he's got 4 legs and he can run a little bit. Now, I've been a fan of this horse probably a little bit more than you have in the past, but I have to be honest. That Clocker's Corner I was very disappointed with. He was slow out of the gate, which is a bit uncharacteristic, and he never really fired. He was just kind of even throughout, and maybe down the hill isn't what he wants, but then again, he won going down the hill 3 back. So, I don't know. I look at this horse and say, I'm wondering if we're getting to the point where you say, I know he's a newly turned 4-year-old, but is he getting any better than what we saw when he first showed up here in North America?
Just seems like an in-and-outer. On some occasions, it looks like there are flashes that he's eventually going to turn out to be a really nice horse. And then last time out, he runs the Clocker's Corner. He doesn't fire at all. I liked his race.
It was good.
In the Mathers Brothers Mile. I mean, good trip all in all, the old in-out, but he ran okay. He was only beaten a length and 3/4 by a very promising horse in Conquest Enforcer. He can easily win this race. It's all up to price. 7-2, a little too light.
Yeah, it feels like he's going to take money just based on reputation and connections. For what it's worth, Baffert, this isn't a positive move for him. Past 3 years, 31 to 60 days in route races on turf, 2 for 33.
You and I have been trying to make the number 3 Ohio a nice horse for a very long time, and maybe trainer Paulo Labu just shot a little bit too high in these graded stakes races. I know he was 3rd in the Del Mar Mile, ran against Midnight Storm. Maybe he needs the drop in class, and he's getting it here.
He probably does need the drop in class. The biggest problem I have with this horse is he just is his own worst enemy. He's a head case. He pulls the minute the gates break, and by the time he finally is relaxed, all the other horses are ready to start running, and he's got nothing left down the lane. I think there's talent. He's just his own worst enemy. I still believe he needs to be clipped.
Yeah, he might need to be clipped. He is a little bit of a cuckoo, but he did have trips in the San Simeon and the Eddie D. The Del Mar Mile was a good race. The Arcadia was not a good race, but maybe he was in a little bit tough against What a View, who came back to run 2nd in the Grade 1 Kilroe, a game performance with a 103 Beyer. The 4 Sawyer's Hill, another horse with a little bit of versatility. He can win from on the lead. He can win from off the pace. He pounded a bunch of 75,000 claimers last time.
And so far, we've only had 1 horse come out of that, but the horse came back and won with a 91 Beyer on Saturday afternoon. I believe that was Sky Preacher. This is an interesting horse because he had been gone for a long, long time for Kristen Mulhall. Then they sort of just eased him back into things. And sure, I suppose you can say he's facing tougher this time around, but he does have that versatility. The thing for me that's going to be most interesting to see what happens with the horse, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, Lieutenant Colonel. Because ultimately, I think it comes down to who goes to the front, who blinks first. Sawyer's Hill has the ability to sit, but I wonder if he's best out on the lead.
The number 5, Pat Tentar, has races that indicate he is certainly classy enough to win this, most notably a 2nd in the Grade 2 Charlie Whittingham last year. We haven't seen him, though, since August, and I wonder if Simon Callahan is using this race as sort of a stepping stone to not only better races down the road, but longer distances.
I liked him a little bit in the Del Mar Mile, and I was disappointed, and then he's gone for 6 months, so maybe something went wrong there. This is a horse that has good enough races on his page to win here. I agree, though. I feel like this is just a starting off point for something longer.
But you look at those company lines, Ashley Loves Sugar, midnight storm.
Yeah.
He's been facing very good horses, but he's been away since August. The number 6 is Fabatsu. He just didn't catch any pace in the Hernandez, I didn't think. He was in mid-pack. It was kind of a moderate pace, and then he finished evenly. I'm not sure going down the hill is really what he wants. I think he's a middle-distance sort. Whether he's good enough to beat these tough foes, that's a different story. But he's a lightly raced 4-year-old. Maybe there's another forward move for him.
Trip should not be a problem. He should get a really nice setup in this spot. There's going to be pace in front of him for him to run at. Probably in a race similar, in a trip similar to what he got 2 back, where he's going to be probably 3 or 4 lengths off of it, down on the inside. Hopefully, if Nakatani can get him over there. I like this horse. I just don't know if he's this good.
You mentioned the 7, Lieutenant Colonel, as a possible pace player in this race. He's making his second start off the long layoff for Jerry Hollendorfer, and I'm not sure he was in a really good situation first time back. Not only did he have to shake off some of that rust, but he was involved in a pretty hot duel in a good field. Follow Me Kreb's a nice horse. I'm just not sure this horse is a turf horse.
I've never liked this horse, but he can really be a problem child for some of the other horses in here because he's got big early speed. And really, that for me is the sort of what it comes down to in this race. Ultimately, is this horse going to go and make life miserable for all the other horses that like to be forwardly placed, or the other one's going to be able to outfoot him early on?
The number 8 Conquest Daddy-O is 20-1 on the morning line. But we have a really strong formulator fact for his trainer, John Sadler. Over the past 4 years, with older turf routers making the 3rd start off the layoff and optional claimers at Santa Anita, get real specific at formulator. 46%, a $7.06 ROI. He was in against Prospect Park, who's got some potential last time out. He just hasn't exactly reached the potential that Marcassi and the previous connections had for him.
Yeah, a really nice positive formulator fact there. He doesn't do anything for me. I think he's going to be way up against it. I understand it looks like there is some pace, but I just think he's going to have too much to do.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the race of the day at Santa Anita on Thursday. You're going with Sawyer's Hill. You like his versatility. Boy, he's sharp.
And I got to be honest, you said it at the top when we talked about him. He buried that field. That was a really impressive effort, in my opinion. I prefer him on the lead. I don't want to get into a prolonged duel with Lieutenant Colonel. I think Lieutenant Colonel will pack it in at some point. So if Pedroza decides to take off and sit just a little bit, that's fine. But I want him to be forward throughout.
And Martin can be very aggressive, and I think you might be right. He knows now that Sawyer's Hill's best game might be going right to the front.
I think he should go.
Kristen Mulhall does great work. And another thing to consider about Sawyer's Hill, he can put good races back to back. That's a very nice sign for him. 6-1 on the morning line. I'll go with Fabatsi. Rich Wablushki would be very angry if I didn't go with him. It's his favorite horse. 4-1 on the line. I wonder if that's a little light, considering he is stepping up in class. I'd need 9-2, 5-1. But as you mentioned, I like his tactical speed. Corey Nakatani's running great.
It's going to be interesting to see how they bet the race, because you have a name like Moonlight Drive in here, who we don't love, but at 7-2, I think he's going to take some more money just based on the connections. Right. So maybe you do get some inflated numbers in some of these other runners.
Fabatsi for me, Sawyer's Hill for you. Give me numbers.
4, 1, 6, and 3.
If you are playing the Thursday Santa Anita card from home, a $300 sign-up bonus is waiting for you at drf.com/trifecta. Become a DRF Bets member, join it, you get a huge bonus. Approximate post time for race number 7 at the Great Race Place, 4 o'clock Pacific. Good luck.